But hi.
Hi,
Nice to meet
Kennedy. Welcome.
you.
Good to see you
You too.
live. Yeah. Seeing you on the video. I was just looking at some of your videos for the typing group, and yeah, you look very similar.
Yeah, that's the thing that's funny is that like I feel like internally, like, if we're using screens, like we're just so like outward looking, but it's like I do you forget what you look like?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
And then we're suddenly shocked seeing ourselves on video or camera. Yeah.
Yeah.
That happens. So, where are you at, by the way?
I live in Ottawa, which
Oh,
is the capital of Canada.
right. So, wait a minute. Is that on the west side
It's
or?
Canada, like it's like a big long country. It's on the east side and it's close, like it's above New York. Like if you think of
Oh,
New York,
yeah, on the
yeah.
New York side. Okay, okay. So, Quebec is on that side too, as well, right?
Yeah, actually Quebec is like really close to Ottawa. Like
Oh,
I live like I can bike to the border.
wow. Wow. So, do you know any French or?
I don't, unfortunately, because I grew up in an English speaking part of Canada.
Yeah, I get it. Got you. Okay, so I have prepared some questions here. And I was just thinking, like in general, usually how we do this is we want the person we interview just to share who they are. Like maybe initially you can give like an elevator pitch of yourself and then just share whatever you feel like sharing, wherever your brain goes. That's the interesting part for the typing group. So, like,
Processing.
there is no right or wrong. Just share whatever you feel comfortable sharing.
Okay.
And tell us about yourself.
I so I work in government communications. I work at like the statistical agency. And I work in communications for the census. So every 5 years we have a census, and what I do is I write the materials that like promote it internally within government to like different government agencies, and then also like on social media too. So it's very the thing about government is that like it's the work is very bureaucratic and standardized. And it's a very good, reliable job, but it's not something I'm passionate about. And I think that's kind of like a really big issue. And I've talked about that in other videos where it's just like I'm like I'm so aware of like I am not compatible. Like my body is just not made for a 9 to 5. Um, and I struggle with kind of like energy with like kind of like 3 p.m. rolls around and I'm like, I want to take a run around the block. Like I want to get my zoomies out.
Yeah.
um, and it's good, but like, yeah, it's stable work, but I very much am like aware of the fact that I'm not going to be doing it for until retirement. So
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out like what I want to be, when I grow up, so to speak.
Yeah, I feel like we're basically doing that all life, aren't we?
Exact. That's the thing. Like it's like once, and I turned 30 last year,
Mm.
and you get on the other side of it, and you're just like, oh wait, all the adults are a lot of them are just kind of like big kids still, so it's fine.
Yeah. It's like everyone is just wearing a mask. Like they are the same people they always used to be, but yeah, acting grown up in certain, you know, situations and yeah, it's
Yeah.
all fake, I guess. I don't know. It feels like
And
it.
that's the thing about watching an objective personality is that I find so to be so gratifying is that like you might have found this as well, but like you can see the playing field. You're just like, oh, like that's what's happening.
hmm Yeah. Yeah, tell me a little bit about that. Like, even though we're not gonna talk about functions or type or anything, but
It's
just,
hard not to when you're in it.
yeah, I know that's all your brain is processing, is it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, wait, what specifically is your like how I found objective personality
Yeah,
or
so yeah, just like, yeah, psychology, personality theory, or typology, whatever you want to mention. Like, how did you get into it in
I
general?
think typology, I think it just kind of started showing up on my YouTube. Like you know what it is? I think that there are people who produce very kind of compelling surface level, like 16 personalities Myers-Briggs content, and that must have hooked me in.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I would watch them and be like, oh, I can relate to that. But I found that there wasn't something like they weren't explaining enough. I don't know how I found David Chan's videos. Um, but like the second I did, I was like, oh my goodness, like there is so much here and it's so replicable. Like that was a part about it that clicked for me where I was just like, with like the kindergarten Myers-Briggs stuff, like you're like some people can relate to that, some people are doing that. But just it was seeing the stuff that Dave and Chan were talking about and then seeing other people doing it
Mm-hmm.
and the cross checks too, like with it's like, okay, if that's that like on the top, then like what would that look like on the bottom? And I still can't really catch it. Like, when I'm talking to someone else, um, I don't like trying to type them because I'm not paying attention to what
Yeah.
they're saying. But just seeing little like glimpses of stuff and be like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah,
Yeah.
because I really
But
like
yeah,
I
go.
find I just like watching them. They're really personable.
Yeah. Do you ever get annoyed with some of their content, or you just think all
You
of
know
it
what?
is fun?
No, actually. And I've showed it to my mom, and she is like, she has that thing where she's like, I don't understand like where, like I just need the starter. Like she was like, I need start me with like just the thing that lays everything out. Um, I'm not going to say that I saw it and immediately was like, oh yes, I understand everything, but that didn't it never annoyed me having to
Mhm.
like go and figure out that information and find that. And then like building it for myself. It didn't bug me.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, apart from objective personality or typology, like what other things do you enjoy, learning about or
Let me think. So I was thinking about this the other day and I was thinking like I feel like the way that I learn is I kind of always have um two or three topics, like two or three kind of like big topics, and then like subtopics, and then like there's like kind of like stuff that I've always like historically like loved, like and they're all
Mhm.
just like stuff like usually like kind of like fashion images or like aesthetic images, like Sophia Coppola movies or like like night like style is a really big part of that. Anyways, but then like I just feel like yeah, I kind of always have like three buckets or whatever, and then I just always have like a giant sweeping arm or radar that's just always scanning the environment and like everything and being like, where does this go in? Like where does how do those connect? And I don't really have like a good metaphor for like the connection between like the sorting of the information and the finding it, but I got really into like nutrition and like health and wellness during the pandemic and even kind of before it, probably 2017. And that was kind of like my first big like adult, like I'm gonna go and learn everything I can about this topic. I'm gonna learn everything I can and then also use myself as a lab rat. Like I really like the N equals one part of health stuff. And that was my first big topic and I'll always be interested in that, but I'm no longer kind of in the like I need to now like listen to every single podcast about this and follow all of this because I feel like I'm just like it like objective personality has replaced sort of like that for me like, in a
Mm.
satisfying way.
Was that some search of like, you know, well-being, like finding the best
Yeah,
possible way
yeah.
to
Oh,
live or
definitely. Or let me think. Like I think when I first got into it, I did like a whole 30, like I did like elimination diets were kind of really popular in 2017. And
Mhm.
I was in my early 20s and then just like, like feeling very lost, but also like not willing to admit that to people around me. Like I was in my early 20s feeling lost. And now that I say that on the other side, I'm like, that's a kind of universal experience. But like when I was in it, I was like, no one like can know like that I'm really struggling and that like I don't know what to do with my life and that like I don't really know how to like connect with people emotionally.
Mm.
Um, and I mean like I sound yeah it sounds like very light now, but I think that had I maybe been a bit more balanced like people wise, I don't think I would have gone as like not off the deep end, but I don't think I would have like gotten as good at it. And I'm actually now grateful for that time because it made me realize, yeah, that that's just what my mind likes doing is picking a topic that I relate to, and I'm interested in, and learning everything there is to know about it.
Mm. Mm. Okay, so I have like a follow-up question to that. Let me see here. Scrolling on my phone. Because you mentioned that you have like some topics historically that you've been kind of, I guess, building like an understanding or something along those lines.
Mhm.
So I was a little bit curious about that, like something that would go far back, like maybe even to your teenage years or earlier. Do you have like something that's, you know, yeah, sparked that curiosity for a very long time?
Well, when I was like younger, I would definitely get into like topics like I go to my childhood bedroom and it's like, like I can see like in my bookshelf like what I was into, like, like the like horse chapter of my childhood and like the Egypt chapter of my childhood and like the medieval living chapter of my childhood. And actually that's like something I really am interested in like when I look at history, I'm not so interested in like kind of like broader historical themes or that or there's I'm more interested in like the daily life of history and how like if I was going back to like like the 1580s, like what would like depending on someone's like class level, like what would their day-to-day life be and like what would their challenges be and like what would be the things that they would be trying to get work in external reality.
Hmm.
um
Yeah, like more anthropology, maybe in that
yeah.
direction.
Yeah, I feel like my brain's always be anthropology of like then, but I feel like my brain has always kind of been like anthropological. Um, and then like when I was younger, yeah, like I in high school, like I was just consuming everything I could about pop culture. Um, and then like
Hmm.
in university, like spending time on Tumblr. But I would say that like the university and high school, like not to type talk or not to function talk, but like consumption. I mean, we're all doing it, so um it was kind of like there wasn't like it wasn't intellectually focused, like it wasn't just like taking everything in, or it wasn't like I hadn't really found like a way. Yeah, I hadn't learned yet how to do it, I was just doing it.
Yeah, right. Just letting it happen like naturally.
Yeah, like I remember like I would again would have like I would be in the library and I'd be supposed to be writing a paper and I'd be yeah, like just like taking in information from stuff like other like the paper, everything, everything I need to do is like right here. It's not a mystery, but I'd be like, I want to learn about this.
Mm.
And my current problem with my job is that it's funny, like my job allows me too much time to do that. Like I'm a public servant. I shouldn't have 5 hours of I think that's kind of partially also why my job is like feeling a bit constricted at the
Yeah.
moment. I'm just like I shouldn't have 5 hours in the day to pursue my interests and all. That's not how I would spend my time if like if it was up to me, like and we lived in like universal basic income land. Like I wouldn't be doing 5 hours of consume all in a row. I would be breaking that up. But
Yeah.
again, like the lovely and fortunate thing about working from home is, for a lot of the week, is that I can do chores and stuff. So
Yeah. So what would your ideal like day look like if you had that universal, yeah,
yeah, I know,
schedule?
right? I would probably wake up in the morning, eat, and then go to the gym and like do something physical first thing in the morning, like do like go for probably weightlifting, but walk, like go and really just like spend energy, like really just do that. And then come home and work on something like computer writing, and then probably take a walk around the block and then come home and probably do some like chore type stuff. Something like none of it is like extravagant. Like none of this is like None of this is like, oh, like I would be gallivanting traveling. It's just literally like coming home, doing chores, and then like going out again and like walking to meet a friend or something. Like that's a perfect day to me.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's life, right? It's
Yeah, yeah,
simple life. That's usually the best, like you say, the best things in life are for free. So yeah, I do enjoy
yeah.
those kind of things as well.
Right. And also doing them well. Like having like one thing I really like is having kind of like systems and having your like way for doing stuff. Like being like this is like and again like I love Dave and Chan's like chore stuff where they hammer home like that you kind of like you have like the like I think they have a video where Dave's being like don't talk to me unless you've like almost died over like how to do the dishes and like actually thought it out. Because I actually find that to be really satisfying. The whole like how do I get like a system? I mean, does it happen perfectly? No. Like I'm not Martha Stewart. I'm not out here like doing it.
Mm.
Like I have dishes in my sink right now that are piling up.
So I'm just curious because I remember that video. So what is your system? Did you figure it out, or do you have an example of?
I feel like I'll have a system and it'll be really good. And then for me, kind of like sleep is a big issue. I have like kind of like one day of like or one night of like bad sleep or where like I feel like I get mad at external forces like pressing on me where I'm like, oh, like these are using my energy in a way that's like inefficient or like poorly. Um like I have yeah, like one day where I'm just like, oh no, like I don't have any energy on this. And then it kind of falls apart. And then I have to like triage and then like on the weekend I'll be like, I'm gonna now redo this, or I'm now going to like start over from scratch
Mm,
again.
right. Yeah, I'm just trying to build a picture of what you're describing. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I can't. I can't. I have, my functions are a little bit complicated. Like my consume is last, so I kind of have to
I
process.
understand.
So yeah.
Your NI, right? Because you're NIFE.
Yeah, yeah.
What are your sexuals? Those impact functions so much, I find.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, we could do a little bit of function talk. So my NI is feminine and my last function, SE, is masculine.
Wow.
So yeah, I think the feminine NI is quite different from the masculine actually. So I'm glad I'm glad I have the feminine version. Because um it's quite movable, but the problem with it is, like feminine sensory, you will just forget.
The patterns or the
Yeah, exactly. So the patterns will just appear like in flashes or just like a thought in the passing, and it's like like some really interesting thought, and I just want to catch it. It's almost hard
it's
to
like
do.
zooming across the screen, you're like, wait.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm like, I just understood it. Oh, wait, it's gone.
Yeah.
And but then it will like reappear again.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yeah.
usually I just say to myself, well, if it's important, it will just come back in some shape or form. So yeah, it's frustrating sometimes. It is. Yeah, I'll try to ask you some of these random questions because I just wanted to see first, like, what are you like when you're just talking? And now I have a few, like, yeah,
Oh,
random
and
questions.
I have until one too. So yeah, don't forget.
Uh-huh. Do you have
Like
anything else?
I have until your 7 p.m. So I'm just saying, like, I don't have to hop off quickly.
No, 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 no. No worries. No worries. Um, yeah. Okay, I'll just pick one here. Okay, this is a big one. If you could solve one, just one world problem, what would it be and why?
I think, I think, and like this is me talking about my own problem. I think dignified work would really, if most, I mean, like again, like how do you get here? Like this is just utopian. If most people had work that they enjoyed and used their mental faculties and is not too taxing, and is productive for the people around them on an immediate level, um, I think that would take a lot of the world's problem, like a lot of existential personal problems away. Um, like I think that, and I don't remember if I talked about this, but like I think that scale is such a issue with like in this post-industrial moment where you have like where humans, um we can only sense what's in our immediate environment. I'm like, I don't know where I'm going with this. But like if a lot of the systems that we interact with are not human scaled and scaled to our human senses, like if you look at like food production, if you look at industrial like shipping routes, um, it's almost like how do we keep people fed and clothed and well heated while still maybe like I don't know where I'm going with that. Yeah, scale and dignified work, and then I tried to say something about yeah, like the fact that we've really like blown everything up so big and have lost the human
Hmm.
unit size measurement.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think what would that look like in reality. Do you have any examples like?
I don't, and that's the thing because it's like it's I see people I don't know if I see anyone who said actually I am very interested in regenerative agriculture because you know how you kind of have like the stop oil like the we need to just like completely stop pulling carbon up out of the ground and on one hand and then acceleration is on the other. But
Mhm.
like regenerative agriculture, the thing that I like about it is that or biodynamic is as it's often called in Europe, I think too. It's about carbon sequestering and putting carbon back into the soil and taking um, again making agriculture less industrial and more human scaled. So it's about like stewardship of animals and land and interacting with the physical environment in a way that respects it instead of trying to like just rough extract from it and trying to like force through like the use of like nitrogen fertilizer like the crops to just come up again and again. It's a
Mm.
much more attuned to the environment
Right,
way of
right.
production.
Oh yeah. Yeah, sorry for interrupting. Yeah, I
Yeah,
kind
no
of
worries.
get what you're saying. Um, yeah, because what we're doing now, it's more like we're just using up all the resources we have and putting out fires here and there, but not really solving like the foundational issues, like how to really make it work sustainably.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like even just yeah, to if I think of dignified like work when even just like not saying that everyone needs to be like a big boss in a corner office or doing their dream job, but even just like restoring dignity to stuff like shop clerk roles, like or janitors, like making it so that they're not being like squeezed by companies for profit and making it so that there is a chance for them to do their work without stress because
Mm. Yeah, it
you know
would bring people more, like what you're saying, it would solve other issues as well, not just, yeah,
exactly.
psychologically, and like people would feel
Socially,
more.
culturally, people would feel
Mm,
less like caged animals at each other. It would
mm.
solve politically, it would really bring down the political rhetoric too.
Wow. Oh, that was a good one. Thank you for sharing. Okay, let's go with another random one here. Um, is there anything that you've always wanted to learn or to try, but you haven't? I mean, you
I,
haven't had the
I
chance yet.
I need to get my driver's license.
What has
I'm
stopped you so far?
Oh my goodness. Well, I grew up in a city, and my mom was telling me she was like, "Yeah, when you were like 16 and it was time, you were like driving stupid. I'm never gonna do that." Idiot. You got my past self. Yeah, growing up in a city, there was decent public transportation, like so it wasn't completely car dependent. Of course, nothing, like probably you're used to. You're probably used to, I don't want to assume, but like good public transportation.
Yeah, it's pretty good here. Yeah.
Yeah. But now that I'm at the age where I'm at, I'm like, it would be nice to have a car to go and get groceries and practical things, like go to the home goods store to buy stuff for my house, and I started I started my learners 5 years ago.
Hmm.
But then I moved and it was COVID, and also I had to like pay per individual lesson, like once I resumed from COVID. So I did get back on it, but unfortunately it expired, and I have been that is I have a list, a list of like goals, big goals and like little goals, and I'm trying to like knock it off. But I think that's the one that I need to take like actual action on, is getting back into learning how to drive a car, because I'm not doing it from scratch this time, which is nice. So
Hmm.
that's what, like that's the thing, not esoteric personal knowledge, just like literal, practical, how to like do this in physical reality. Because there are moments where I'm like, it would be very nice to know how to drive, even for traveling too.
Right. And you have more freedom as well. Like you can just go visit
Exactly.
someone or yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The dependence, like I don't, yeah, that's the thing, is that actually like I don't care for the lack of autonomy or agency that not having a car or
Yeah.
not knowing how to drive. Do you know how to drive a car?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have a car because I work quite far from home. So even though the public transport is good here, I live in the capital, but I work outside of the capital and I have irregular work hours. So it's kind of hard to make it work. Like, yeah, it's pretty far. So I drive.
What do you do for work?
I work with autistic teenagers, high functioning, so they're very smart, but they have some problems with, yeah, basic stuff like social skills, communication, hygiene sometimes. Yeah, things that normally just work automatically for most kids. And yeah, and then they can be super gifted or smart in other areas, like, yeah, writing a book or playing a piece of music that, yeah, most people wouldn't be able to play or other things that really works well.
Mhm.
So it's kind of interesting. Yeah.
And do you find that the stuff that you've learned through objective personality to be applicable in that realm?
Oh, yes. Yes. Because when I'm trying to help them, it helps me so much just to see like
Function.
even one part that they
Yeah.
have, like whether it's an introvert or an extrovert can help. Or like yesterday, I was working with like a boy who is clearly a lead DI. He doesn't have a problem with anything or anyone. Everyone else has a problem with him, and that's their problem, but not his, you know.
I can relate to that.
You can tell me more.
I think I almost like I hate TikToking, because I've seen so many videos. I've like got the fear of God, where they're like, you're gonna type yourself upside down. You don't know. It's like I have
Yeah.
what I think I am, but I just want to get my results back so I can start. Like I don't want to be like, oh, I'm this great, case closed. I just want to get the results so I can start tracking what I think are my if I want what I think are my demons to be my demons. Although of course they say like everyone's screwed, but like I just want to know what my demons are so I can start
Yeah, working on it
putting
maybe.
in those hours.
Yeah, right. Yeah. The 10,000 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
I think like this kid, he got some feedback that he kind of has a tone of voice that isn't really appropriate. Maybe sometimes he can sound a little bit aggressive. He doesn't mean it. He told me that, but he kind of just sounds like it. And to him, that's not really a problem because, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean to. And then to explain, the objective
Oh,
perspective, like,
that's so real. And he's just doubling, tripling down. I didn't mean it. I didn't. I know exactly how I you guys are all idiots. You're all wrong, because I obviously. I didn't mean that.
Exactly. So all he wants to do all day is like explain instead of actually taking in like
Oh, yeah, because it's like I had a discussion like that with my mom yesterday, where she was explaining something that I had done that had hurt her, and I was like, like, and again, it's so, we all think we're enlightened, and then we get in a discussion with our parents, and it's like, oh my god, and I mean, like, like my mom's wonderful, but like I instantly just went to the like like we just need to get an agreement about what I meant, and then everything's fine.
Is she the same as well?
I believe my mom to be an EP, because when I look at her life, I see double deciding, and I see OE and demon OI problems. Um, uh,
Mm.
and I think, yeah, I yeah.
So
So
is it important to her to explain what she means or
let me think. Um, is it important for her to explain what she means? You know what? I'd have to ask her that. Like, that's the thing. I don't even, I don't think I can double, not to function. I don't think I can double decide in the moment on it. Like, I have to ask. I don't
yeah.
know. Good question.
It's hard to know, even if it's the close people in your life sometimes. Yeah. Huh. What was I thinking of? Yeah, do you have like siblings or what does your family look
Uh,
like?
I have a younger sister. She is 7 years younger than me. And then I have a father. And I feel like I talk like the most to my mother. Like, I'm the most emotionally close with my mother. So like she's the person I probably like will mention most when like talking about processing stuff. Um,
Hmm.
and my dad is really lovely, but although not lovely is not like, like he's not like lovely is not like, he's a good guy, but he didn't really figure out what he wanted to do in life.
Hmm.
um and that kind of like, I feel he will say he's happy, but I feel like pity when I look at him, because I'm like, he's a very smart individual, um but never really, like, he doesn't have a lot of friends, and he doesn't like his idea. He just wants to like sit and read his books and listen to his music that he likes. um that he's liked the same stuff for like 40 decades, or for 40 years.
What does he like?
Like jazz, he likes jazz and architecture, and like sports. Like, that's the thing about my dad, is that his and like, again, like watching again with the OP stuff, just being like, oh, like he's got his box, he's got his he is not gathering. And I also hesitate to use function talk when talking about other people, because I'm
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
I think that right now kind of my policy, like, I don't even know,
You
it's just like,
tried.
I'm not gonna use it when talking about myself, but like, if talking about patterns in other people, I'll
Yeah.
try to tell a story first and then match it to a behavior. And then my sister is 7 years younger than me, but she we don't share a father. My mom had her with a sperm donor after.
Hmm.
So um as a child, I really like pushed her away, because I was going back and forth and she wasn't, and I got so jealous. I was like, you get I was like, there's like secret like conspiracies, like, you guys are like having fun without me, like, you're doing fun stuff when I'm at my dad's.
Yeah.
um so in the past like couple of years, I've been trying to rebuild that relationship, but it is like conscious um work, because I find that to reach out to people, if I feel that there's like past pain there, or if I feel like I don't really know where I stand with them, I won't reach out. Like, I won't just do that like, hey, checking in thing,
Mm.
or not that it is, but it's not a natural thing. It's not something that I'm like stepping outside and doing. It's something I'm putting on my to-do list. It's like, call sister, call dad, like where I'm just like, oh. So
Do you
yeah,
have like a system like I call once a month or something? I have a friend like that. He kind of puts down a date, like I'm gonna call this person this day.
I've heard of that. No, I don't. I mean, I have systems for like organizing my life. Like, I like live and die by like Google Keep.
Hmm.
And I like how it syncs across my phone and the computer. So I'll have like like my kind of like running to-do list that I keep in that. And I will put it on that. So
Right. Yeah. 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 There's a lot to remember. So what do you not need to put down? Like what do you remember automatically?
oh, that's a good question. What do I remember automatically? Um, I always know exactly what like where like kind of like my meal prep situation is, like where like my like cooking, like having food that like fresh, healthy food like prepared for myself, and like whether or not I need to like take, like stew out of the refrigerator and defrost it, or if I'm gonna like make like muffins tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
That I typically tend to know. And then like just like preferences. Like I don't have to write down I don't have to write down like that I like. Actually, and that's something I kind of struggle with like regards to writing. um like whenever I try and like write something about like, oh, like I like this, or like I value like, like this, like $500, like, how kind of, have you heard of like the European sweater craze, like in slow fashion? And um
Mm, what's that? Tell me. Maybe I
it,
have, but I don't know for
this is like
sure.
a Spanish sweater. It's by a brand called Baba, and I had to order it from Europe, and it was $500.
Wow.
Because we don't like, because anyways, but if it's something that like I value in fashion or clothes or whatever, it seems so obvious to me to write it down. But I have friends who tell me, they're like, you should start a fashion blog, and I'm like, I get stuck because I'm just like, I like it. Like I don't have to write down, yeah, what I like and dislike, because I know that like that's so not something I have to sit down and be like,
Right.
write a
Yeah.
list.
No one needs to tell you what you like or dislike.
No, no.
Oh yeah, by the way, like do you have any role models that you get very inspired by? Like maybe in the family, friend circle, or yeah,
I
like
do I do
famous
have
people.
people who have big social groups and who naturally kind of like find the energy to like, and I think I talked about this in my video, of like moving acquaintances to the friendship level, and like doing that thing with friends where they're like, yeah, let's go like grab dinner and hang out, and they've just got like, everywhere they go they meet friends. I
Mhm.
am so profoundly like in awe, and will like try and emulate them, because I'm like, that is again like that's something I'm not doing naturally, and that's something that I like I actually have to, like, they wouldn't have to force themselves to do it, but like tonight I'm actually quite proud of myself because I'm getting dinner with a friend who I don't know well, with someone I don't know well,
Mhm.
who I've met like socially a couple of times, and we're just getting dinner together, and it's funny because it it's gonna go fine. But like in my head, I'm scared. I'm like, what if like we don't connect? Like, what if I don't know what to talk to her about? Like, what if she like thinks I'm like boring? Like, what if I like, what if I get like yeah, like it's all these things. It's
Mm.
a fear of like judgment, or I don't know,
What are you curious about with her?
with
What do you
her.
want to, yeah, like what do you want to know about her?
I have found it easy to talk to her in the past. Like I went over to her house once. It was supposed to be like a big group thing, but it was a snowstorm and everyone else canceled. And I was surprised by how easily the conversation flowed.
Hmm.
Um, she is a DJ.
Wow.
And it's, let me think. It's funny answering questions, because it's like I'm like, I know that I'm supposed to like say what's interesting about her, but for me, like my instant reaction was, I I feel comfortable with her. It was like like I was like, oh, I want to spend time with her because I have previously spent time with her and I felt good. So
Hmm.
then I
Yeah.
want to spend more time. Um,
Yeah, I guess that's often how it works. Like we want to spend time with people who, yeah, just makes us feel at ease and we feel welcomed and they're inviting. Do you have any best friends?
I no, let me think. I've had close friends, but I've had friendship breakups. I would say in the past kind of like 2 years, I've been like able to like actually make friends. I've got like one friend who I met through my church. She unfortunately moved away, so we don't get to see each other as often. Um, but like she is someone I don't think I can tell her like kind of like everything about my life, but I feel like I can tell her like most things and kind of like puzzle things.
Hmm.
But no, I've not if might find it easy, but then also at the same time like very much like wanting that and very much like wanting the like I think there were years in my life where yeah, like I didn't even like consciously admit that like I don't I don't think like I think I can confidently say that like if we're looking at socials, I don't think I have the friends coin.
So, what calls for a breakup with a friend? I mean, like, what is a deal breaker, or what have previous circumstances been for you?
Let me think. Well, there was like the group of friends who I went through like elementary school and high school with.
Hmm.
And what happened is I wrote an article on friendship breakups for like Teen Vogue because that was kind of in my like after like right after university I was like I want to be like Lena Dunham. I want to be a writer on the internet.
Hmm.
Um and I wrote an article and one of my friends was like really offended because she thought it was about her and it wasn't actually like I had just kind of like used experiences in my friendship with her but it wasn't about her.
Hmm.
I wasn't being like this like and then like changing the name. I was just like recalling kind of like different things. So there was that. But luckily, we've since reconnected that group of friends because she had a baby. And like that kind of
Hmm.
has a nice way of like it's been like 10. Also, like it was COVID. Like COVID kind of like wiped the slate and we were all like, just like whatever, like let's just all hang
Yeah.
out. Um, and then I had a friend who I met over the internet named Sophie, who we were friends for a couple of years. And then um I was in a really dark place at the time and not like really just depressed and like unsure about where I was going in life. Like it was my energy was bad. And I think she just distanced herself from me. But there was never like a conversation where it was like, hey, you're scaring tribe. Like you're really like negative and depressed. Like and I was confused because I was like, why won't you just tell me? Um uh but uh, like and that's the thing about objective personality that I love. I wouldn't be able to talk. I've never met you before. I wouldn't be able to
Yeah.
talk about any of this with a straight. Now, like it's depersonalized everything for me
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
now that I can see at least the four human needs and just be like all of us, no matter what our type, are going to screw up at them. Even if it's our best thing, like we're going to screw up at a human need at some point. I'm like, the fact that I can just like be able to talk about it is so and identify, yeah, what was happening is so has really had a profound impact, I would say. Like the depersonalization of problems.
Yeah.
This happens to everyone and it's in the data and people are willing to talk about it as being so useful.
That's really awesome. Yeah. It's more about yeah, the mechanisms, like the dynamic of
Yeah.
interpersonal relationships. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
science.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's made it so that I don't um feel like it's this horrible secret that I have to like hide from people if I want to be like close and intimate with them, like being like, oh wait, I can explain that like I've had troubles and darkness in my past, like instead of just being like that didn't happen, I'm fine, like we're all fine, right?
Right.
It's so gratifying.
What have you like taken away from those kind of experiences? Like, what have you put in your bag and carry with you as a life experience that you can, yeah, just benefit from in the future?
From like learning through objective personality.
Yeah, but I think I mean more specifically about like the past friendships and yeah, the complex situations you have experienced sometimes and the baggage,
I
like
think
the darkness.
someone said in a comment on the Facebook group, actually, they were like about people who have low play energy. Like they were like, or not like I don't again, like who knows if I had that, but they were like whatever. They were like, if people aren't using their extroverted observer and their extroverted decider together, if they're not putting like the math together there and they tell me something that their impression, they were like, I've had so many arguments because of that, because they weren't uh observing extrovertedly with the tribe. So that's been a really important lesson because I feel like I can kind of get into holes where I'm like, they don't like me, blah, blah, blah. But then it's like where I've actually sat down in relationships and with the other person and talked about what was going on. Um, it's been so much better. And but instead of just like coming to conversations with all the like the OI and DI like loaded, and it's like, oh, have you OEDE checked that? So that's been really like even just that from like a Facebook comment has been really
Hmm. Do you find it hard to get to that point, or how do you find it like to have that real conversation?
well, it definitely scares me. Like it definitely it's not natural, it's not easy. It's something that scares me and it's something that I find that like I have to take a couple of days to like recover from.
Hmm.
Like I
Yeah,
hit.
it's
Yeah.
hard, right?
Yeah, like I'm like I can't just do that and but like I mean eventually the goal is to be able to like lessen the processing time and lessen that. And actually that is something that it has helped is that like, like stuff still like happens at work where like I feel like, like someone will get offended, someone will get slighted. And like the processing time where I used to spin out over like the course of a day over something like that. Now at least with that, I can just be like, whatever. Like I'm like, that was this issue. Like I can just accept responsibility and move on.
Hmm. Yeah. Do you have any tips? Like, how do you initiate that kind of a conversation,
At work or friends wise.
friends wise,
Ooh.
especially,
Ooh.
or yeah, both.
I mean, at work, I'll just be like, I'm being fake right now. I'm like, thank you, cool, like, great, like, and I'm like, this isn't real, but at the same time, like, it's a useful like social technology that gets us towards the object of like the goal of getting the thing done.
Mm,
But friendship wise, like, I have to do it. I have to be like, hey, like, can we talk about this, like, in a way that's uncomfortable. Like, I had a former roommate who I lived with. And I lived with her like right before I found kind of objective personality stuff. So I think that like honestly, just like living with someone who's subjective, like myself, is hard. Like she was a bit better at the friendship and the responsibility stuff. And I think that there was kind of like judgment from her. And since she moved out, we haven't been as close. And I sensed some oddness. And then last November, I asked her, I was like, "Hey, do you want to hang out?" And she was like, "Oh, like I'm only saving energy for like my close friends right now." And I was like, "Hey, like that's like I was hurt by that. I would love to talk instead of just like in the past, I probably would have just been like, I can't believe you would say that, but I was just very like cool, like ready to talk about that when you like just not blowing stuff up, like not making the situation worse with when it comes to people stuff. Um
mm,
which is so funny because I like I actually also like probably in the past week too had to like take a step back from OP stuff because I was like I looked at like one of the guesses in my doc and they were like, oh yeah, double observer or double decider, and I was like, dude, like maybe I'm not like I was like maybe I'm not accurately representing myself because I feel like yeah my issues are people like the stuff that like scares me is the people stuff in
mm.
is my subjective understanding of it.
What's the worst thing that can happen?
That like being alone, I think like being not close to people and not having like that light sort of friendship like working together energy, which I
Mm,
actually that's the thing that's funny to me is that I actually like really kind of like that energy of like working together with people just like getting stuff done collectively. I can do that for maybe like that can't be my whole day or like I can't do that for like 5 days in a row. Like I can do like a day. I can do it, but I actually like it. Like that's the thing. Once I actually get to it,
mm. Do you do that at work, or do you work more independently?
work tends to be more independently, but I actually don't mind like getting together with my team and just being like, let's just like how do we get the thing like how do we what's the best way to get this task over the finish line?
Mm,
Um, like I actually really don't mind it when stuff like that comes up because it's like that's fun to me. Um, but luckily, the thing about my work is that it's very government bureaucracies are very again like not my functions like theirs they're very sleep energy
Mm.
I did kind of like have the moment the other day where I was like, oh, like this is so like this attracts a certain type of personality, and people who are not going to want to be doing random chaos with other people, um,
Right, right.
or at least a statistical agency, which tends to have more
Hmm.
math types and
Yeah, you have to stick to a certain agenda.
mhm. Like the prime
Yeah.
minister's office is probably a bit more play energy.
Hmm. So when you do those kind of, yeah, brainstorming sessions or work together or whatever, like what is fun about it, do you think, from your perspective?
Let me think. And it's so hard to talk about this without function talking. Um,
Just give me an example, like a real life example, like that you found really
oh, like
inspiring or
there's
fun.
some emails, or not even not inspiring and fun. Like not I'm not like, oh, let's try and do this more. But I'm like I'm surprised by how much I'm like, okay, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to figure out how to get our email servers to work. We're using a really antiquated, like we can't just use like something the private industry would use. Like we can't use MailChimp because it's the government. Like we have people's information. It has
Yeah.
to be done on a protected network.
Mm-hmm.
So the email client software that we have to use is from like 1995, and just trying to figure out how to get the list of email addresses on the primary network, how to get them in the proper format, how to get them over to the network on the other side, um, in one piece, and then how to like load them in the email and then send the email and have everything be in the same format. Like that was a process that I didn't actually mind doing with people at work, because um, I would say that yeah, like my engine probably runs out on that. Like I'm not going to be wanting to do that all day long.
Right, right, right.
Like
But for that
an
specific
afternoon, it's fine.
task. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Right. So did you or who helped out the most? Like who had the best ideas or
That's the I very much like I get put on a spot kind of whenever like my boss will do that thing of like, what do you think, Kennedy? Because I'm just like I'm very, I feel like in situations like that I'll like I'll like see what people are doing, and then I'll like do a bit. But like the thought of like leading that sort of thing and being the person in charge of that is not natural to me. Like I feel like even when it's happening, I take an observer role and I like watch it happen, and
Mhm.
then I don't want to like pollute stuff with um and it's also like hard to recall too, because because it's not like it's not most of my work. But yeah, like it's interesting seeing how like work days actually pan out.
Yeah. Hmm. Right. Yeah. Let's go for another random question. How much time do you have, by the
I
way?
have probably like I could probably do like 7 more minutes.
Okay, seven more. Okay, so maybe we should end this in about five or
Okay.
six.
Yeah.
Okay, good. A few more random ones. I think I had. Okay, what's a hidden talent you have that not many people know about?
Interesting. I mean, like honestly, I would say like my the capacity for research. Like I don't think a lot of people know that, or I don't know. Like I have no idea. I don't know what, but I don't like not like anything like whistling. A hidden talent. Um, I I don't know about that.
Research.
Or just like knowing the consumer landscape, like knowing how to, I think I was talking about like sunscreen in one of my other videos, and I was talking about like different types of sunscreen and how like you don't want to get the sunscreen that like it has like really like photosensitive ingredients in it, because it'll like burn your face. Uh like yeah, to be lazy and function talk, like just kind of like random consume that I've done.
So, sunscreen. Would you like to produce like a better sunscreen or? Like,
Or I mean, that would be nice. My friend was telling me that I should start a clothing company because I actually, and I this is actually an issue. This is like an issue that I see in the external world that I'm like, yeah, like I feel like I could actually like fix this. If
okay.
I just have to like first learn like practical skills of like sewing and stuff. But like I really like natural fiber clothing. Like I don't like acrylic or polyester in my clothing. I like cotton, linen, wool. I think it would be really nice to have like a line of like lingerie for women that's like right now your options if you're a woman who wants like natural fiber like who wants lingerie, you either have to like wear like polyester stuff or you have to wear like cotton and stuff. But like the natural underwear is like so ugly and grandma
Mhm.
style.
Yeah.
So I think it would be really nice to have like a line of like underwear and intimates that are like cute and sexy, but not made but made from, you know, body and earth friendly materials.
Right. Would you draw them yourself or would you hire someone?
I think I'd have to hire someone. But
Yeah.
I should sit down and like write but yeah, I had a friend who basically was like, yeah, you need to start a clothing company because you're always thinking of different like clothing ideas. So
Like, yeah, like different materials and
mhm.
interesting. So you feel it feels I think you seem to be a very like naturally oriented person. Like you love
Yeah. Yeah.
everything nature.
Yeah, yeah, or just like living in I think that it's I think that the more that I've tried to accept that I'm an animal and like live I think that you can get into a really dangerous spot when you try and like live unnaturally like when you try and live like outside of the even like the sun circadian rhythms but
Hmm.
that is yeah that is something that my brain is tracking is yeah the crunchy nature aspect of it and I don't realize that I'm doing it but yeah the
Right. Yeah.
organic lifestyle or whatever.
Uh-huh. It's just happening. Yeah. Do we have one more minute? Let me see. I forgot the minutes.
That's
I'm not
okay.
good at tracking time. I'm a time optimist, but I have one last question, but if we don't have time, that's fine. We can just conclude here. It's up to you.
Can I hear the question first?
Okay. So it's if you could live in any era of history, which one would you choose and why?
Ooh, interesting. I mean, I would say maybe like I don't know. It would definitely be within the 20th century, just because like you know, I enjoy being able to vote and like stuff like that. Like you know like just the whole like before the 1900, the whole like compulsory like 10 kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I like
right.
I'm not I hope to have children one day, but the 60s and 70s could be cool. The 70s is attractive. The 90s is attractive to me too, like kind of like the last era of like, you know, like reality bites and like slacker vibes like Winona Ryder like that was I mean it was only for some people like not most people had jobs but like that was kind of like the last gasp of like you can work at a video store and like rent an apartment and have a pretty good like
Yeah.
quality of life without having to like you know do a professional career but I'm one thing that like the objective personality stuff has taught me is that I'm like not stuck when it comes to work so
Yeah. You can go anywhere. Where would you go?
for work
Yeah, or for
I'd
to
like
live.
to live. Mm, well, for work, if we're talking like fantasy, for work, I'd love to be doing something with people that is helping them improve their health, like helping them, or again, not to function talk, but like using everything I've learned to help them get some like systems in place for their life and also like not just systems I don't want to just like tell people I don't want to tell people like you should do this you should do that like learning about what their actual like days are like and then being like okay like maybe practice this and like getting that feedback between like the whole systems but how giving like it's a whole thing of like teach a man to fish like and
Yeah.
he won't
Hmm.
so yeah
Right. Wow. Great stuff. I love this. yeah, freedom you have, like when you're just associating and sharing whatever, like this is exactly what we want. And I'm sure we got something from it, maybe one or two or three parts, who knows?
Good to know.
It's always hard to go all the way down to the 512, and I think even Dave mentioned quite recently that it's not really recommended, but let's see, maybe someone nails it.
That's good to know. That's really
Mm.
good to know, actually. That and that is, yeah, you're right. Like even with I have been trying to practice typing. It really is like cognitively taxing.
Yeah,
Yeah, in a
very.
good.
Yeah, in a good way. Yeah. And we will all be subjective, so it's hard, and we're
Exactly.
eager. We want to get the results, but it will take time, like training the brain and all that. So, yeah. Let's see. I'm really curious to hear your results. When do you
Me too.
think you're receiving them? Do you know?
I think I submitted a couple of days early, like before the 15th. Like it was supposed to be on the 15th, but I submitted on 8th. So I think in I would say max like 4 weeks, probably.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we
Yeah.
have some time to go over this and think and process. That's great. All right, Kennedy, thank you so much for taking time for the interview.